would like to take this opportunity to recognize the contributions of women and girls around the world who are leading the charge on all the diverse domains in order to make a more sustainable future. So, in order to understand the essence and the importance of women leadership and the challenges that they face in their experience down the years, we have 6 accomplished industry women leaders with us today.
Thank you, Isha. So it is an immense pleasure to have Ms. Scindia Balasingh to be an eminent panelist for this Advika. Ma'am is a passionate technology marketer with rich market experience in partner marketing and currently heading the global technology partnerships in Freshworks. She has been recognized as top 20 women catalyst in the Indian IT ecosystem by SME channels. Recently, she has also got the Women Super Achiever Award from the World Women Leadership Organization. She has a bachelor's degree in BTech IT and an MBA with Marketing and Operations specialization. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this great panel. Thank you.
Our next panelist is Ms. Vidya Thyagarajan. Ms. Vidya Thyagarajan is presently the Senior Director, Machine Learning Operations at Optum and has a Master's in Management Information System from George Washington University. She is an information technology executive with over 25 years of experience in various industries such as healthcare, automotive, telecom, power and utility. She provides strategic, operational, and process leadership to deliver business value and change. Her strength is in any role that is at the intersection of customer, market, and technology, and has also led and supported a variety of employee engagement, women in technology, and culture transformation initiatives. We are honored to have you with us, ma'am.
The pleasure is all mine. I am happy to be amongst this elite group of panelists and students. Thank you.
Our next guest is Ms. Parul Arya. She is currently working as a global supply manager for Tesla. She manages the procurement for low voltage harnesses on Model 3Y for Tesla globally. She has a master's in supply chain management from University of Texas at Dallas. She has been working with many of the world's top thought leaders and professionals and has together created a real impact on the industry, not only in terms of the products delivered, but also in terms of diversity and inclusiveness they create at their workplace. Ma'am is passionate about women in tech and hopes to reach out to many girls and women across the industry. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Next in our panel, we have Ms. Irina Ghose. Ms. Irina Ghose is presently Executive Director, Cloud Solutions at Microsoft India and is an MBA from XLRI. As the leader for Microsoft's cloud solutions in India, ma'am is responsible for empowering cloud adoption and digital transformation by engaging with customers and partners to envision and architect their digital growth strategy. She leads a team of cloud specialists and technical evangelists with diverse capabilities across Microsoft's solution areas, Azure applications and infrastructure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and security solutions, as well as lifetime support offerings. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and wishing everybody out here a very, very happy International Women's Day. Pleasure to be here.
Our next guest in panel is Ms. Luvina Subramanian. She is the Chief Marketing Officer of Randstad India, one of the country's leading HR service organizations. She is responsible for driving all elements of marketing for the organization, including digital marketing and design, corporate communications, public relations, and market intelligence. She is also responsible for the public affairs for Randstad India. She has many prestigious CMO awards and accolades to her credit in marketing. She holds a bachelor's degree in botany from WCC Chennai and also has completed an MBA in marketing from IIM and strategic management from XLRI. It's an honor to have you among us, ma'am.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and happy Women's Day to all of you.
Last but not the least, we have Ms. Navnidh Kochar Karaka. Ms. Navnidh Kochar Karaka is presently VP and Head HR Global Corporate Security at Reliance Industries Limited and has done her post-graduation in management from SCMHRD Pune. She is an HR leader with diverse experience in driving large-scale people transformations. expert in partnering with businesses to drive value and targeted ROI, and has a proven ability in managing ambiguous business environments and agile structures by active network engagement and collaboration. Ma'am is also responsible for talent sustainability through talent acquisition, talent development, talent engagement interventions, performance, and compensation management, and has been in leadership roles in firms like Standard Chartered, L&T Realty, and Kotak Life Insurance. We are honored to have you with us, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the kind words and the introduction. And the pleasure is all mine to be here, and wishing you all happy Women's Day to all the women around here, and to the men on the call, wishing your girlfriends, your mothers, your sisters, everyone else in your life, whoever has been able to make a mark in your successful journey, a very happy Women's Day. Yeah. Thank you very much, Rahim. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for joining us. We all are looking forward to an insightful panel discussion. Shreya, you may take it forward now.
Thank you, Rahim. So I would now like to acquaint the panelists with the flow of the event. Firstly, I'll be posing the questions, and then the floor will be open for all the panelists to share their thoughts and perspectives. With the hope for a fruitful discussion, let's move forward with the panel discussion. Women's equal participation and leadership are essential in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. However, data shows that the proportion of women in private sector companies is 24.5% of the total workforce compared to just 17.9% of the public sector. So I would like to ask the panel, what are your thoughts about, will India's new women find a progressive catalyst for growth in the government and private corporations?
Sure, let me pick that up. Here's the way we need to think about how the incremental way women's participation has been happening for the last many years. While the data is absolutely right in terms of the way you talked about it, Shreya, I think there are strides which have been taken both by the government and the private sector and the corporates, and everybody is building towards this overall effort towards how we create a progressive society in which women feel empowered and they kind of come across and join the workforce in a very, very participative manner. Now, on one hand, when you look at it, the data is disappointing, but I would say that the fact is we have to see from where we have come. So when you see from where you have come, there has been a lot of distance we have covered, but the distance to cover is even longer. So what are the things which are really happening in the world currently, in India currently? So let's start with what is happening in the private sector. So from an overall intentionality to have many more women participate through the entire job stream, the intake for freshers, people like y'all who kind of come and join the job stream, is very high. So we've got a great turnout which is happening out there. It continually diminishes as you kind of see the progressive way women are kind of remaining in the workforce. It drops across in the middle management when women kind of are balancing their work, their overall family requirements, and they're kind of battling all these things about the work-life integration. Now, what are corporates doing there? You've seen things about the way, even when I started my career, say 25 years back, the maternity leave was just about 3 months. Then came the era of increasing this. Then came an era of bringing in paternity leave so that men, women have a joint partnership in terms of investing in how the family has to be coming in. I've actually heard a lot of school principals inculcating this thing within the children at a very early age, saying as to how parents need to bring up their children so that there's an equal participation. Now, from where it is at a middle management level, when you go across to the senior leadership level, that is where I think the overall percentage population is very, very low. And that is an intentional push focus that needs to be taken across, because all said and done, we've seen the women who've kind of taken it at the senior leadership and the corporations that they've created and the kind of culture that they've brought up, whether it's from the State Bank of India erstwhile chairman Arundhati Rao, who now leads Salesforce. The kind of changes that she's brought across really speaks about how the future generations who come and work across in that corporation will be looking at. So there's a lot of things which are happening. Also, women who are dropping from the workforce. There are lots of programs that a lot of corporates are doing as to how they can come and join after a maternity break or after a break of any kind, right? The thing which also needs to happen is women also need to feel empowered, take that plunge, go forward and make a difference in various meaningful ways. Coming across to the public sector, there is a lot of effort which the government is doing, not just in the public sector for jobs, but for how rural women are coming up. The percentage will range between 16 to 20%, depending on which years you're looking at. And of course, the pandemic dealt a very hard blow on how women are kind of able to participate. But there's a lot of intentional effort which is being done across on rural women, on marginalized part of society, in terms of how women are recognized, rewarded, awarded. The Nari Shakti Puraskar, which is kind of coming across, those are ways that the family feels good if women from those families are participating in jobs. So again, I would say that there are role models which are there in public sector as well. And I, in my interactions with a lot of departments in the ministries and the government, I feel very good when I see a lot of women in very senior positions kind of really shaping the policies and what are the things which are kind of getting shaped up for the future. So there isn't a dearth of role model out there. It is the participation of women who need to kind of go in out there so that people are kind of feeling a lot more encouraged and see a lot many more of their kinds out there. Back to you.
So if I can add a few pointers. It was amazingly articulated, and it was a great learning for me too. One thing, if I have to add on this, so as she rightly pointed out, the real struggle starts in the top layer. So today, diversity is key initiative in a lot of organizations. The thing they are failing to do today is it is all bottom heavy. So maybe like when she rightly said, like Shreya, like you, people are coming today. But where we are really lagging is from leadership position. As it goes up the ladder, the diversity is thinning up. And this is because like I came across few stats. Looks like 41% of women drops their career in technology within the first 10 years. So it's a shocking revelation. And similarly, men and women are equally participating in STEM courses, but only 30% of women are getting even hired in corporates compared to almost 70% of men in corporates. So these kind of we have the funnel gaps both in top and the bottom factor. So we all are there in the sense of having a lot of diversity initiatives, but where organization is failing to do is where exactly they need to put the focus. Is it top heavy, bottom heavy, or they need to launch career restart program like Irina said, or should we encourage more women to have career development or sponsorship or mentoring programs to be participative. So it is all need to be designed scientifically, knowing the funnel where the more leakage is. So if that has been corrected, both in private and government sectors, we can see a lot of great women leaders coming and having their marks having.
Any other panelists would like to go ahead?
To add on here, I think we never had a dearth of women leaders, just that we've started talking about a little bit more in recent times. Let's talk of Sarojini Naidu. Let's talk of Rani, Lakshmi Bai, right? Let's talk of Indira Gandhi. They have been role models, as Irina also said. There are enough and more on it. I think I would just want to say that for any woman, if you think you can, or if you think you cannot, either which ways you're right. So it's your own conviction which will make you stand out, is what I would want to add on to this. And just that since we are coincidentally doing this conversation on a Women's Day, and my thought is little contrary to the whole customary celebrations that we do on a Women's Day. I think every day is a Women's Day, and when we actually start celebrating it, as a special day, I think somewhere we are diluting the importance of the gender equality at work, right? So while it is good to make women feel good on one particular day, But at the same time, we are no different. We are there in the workforce because we bring some value to the table, right? And not because I'm a female, that's why I'm there, right? So that's my take, Shreya. Thank you so much.
Sure, ma'am. The past was different and we've come a long way in the present as well. But we also believe that the future belongs to women in both private and public organizations. And we think we'll have a better representation there. For aspiring women leaders, these words will definitely, I feel, act as a catalyst in the future career journey. So I would like to now move ahead. So as the phrase goes, experience is the hardest kind of teacher. It gives you the test first and lesson afterwards. We are really intrigued to know that if you were 22 today, things you would have done differently by reflecting on the lessons learned and experiences gained throughout the years.
I can take that, Shreya. That's an excellent question. Retrospective, hindsight is always 2020, right? Like, you look back and then you realize, okay, these are some things that I could have done better. So I have three things that, when I reflect on into my past, I have been in the industry for 26 years now and have only taken a 3-month break, as Irina said, for maternity. So apart from that, I've pretty much been in the workforce for a very, very long time. So there are three things that I, when I reflect upon, that I think I would want to caution, reflect, and guide others who are at that age right now, like yourself and the rest of the workforce, waiting to be in the workforce people here. So first thing is, as a woman, be yourself, right? Don't fit into molds that others create for you. That's very important. You need to introspect. You need to know what your interests are and go after them. This is your time. This is your time. This 22 years, 26, up to 26, 27 years is when you can experiment and explore. In this time is when you can say, okay, I want to go after that. I want to chase that dream. I want to do this, and you have the ability to take that risk, be it men or women. Because your ability to assume and take on risk is there. In my time, when I was joining the workforce in early mid-90s, the expectation was, girls were married after a decent education. I'm a Bachelor of Engineering and a Master's in Information Systems. But then the expectation for a large portion of my classmates was finish education, get married, become a housewife, or find a job that allows you to manage home first, and job is only a secondary income. That was how we were all encouraged to think. And so it was very hard for us to break those molds. But a lot of us have done that, and people here are great representations of that. So that's one thing. Break the mold. Do not fit into molds. Be yourself. Introspect. Find what your passion is. The second thing is, for a long time in my career, I believed that in order to be a true professional, you have to keep work and personal life separate. You can't bring work life into personal life, and you can't talk about personal stuff in your work life. And that, hindered my ability to pay full attention to anything. Because say, for example, I'm at work and I have a sick spouse or a sick kid at home or a sick parent at home, you can't give your 100% at work. And I can't even talk about it to my manager because of these barriers that I had set in myself, in my own head, right? So this causes a lot of stress. And I was taking an inordinate amount of stress, which was really unnecessary. So what you need to do is you realize that you are one person, and you're trying to play two roles. You need to be able to speak assertively, feel comfortable to talk about constraints with your leaders at work, or with your family. In case you have a work emergency, make sure that you talk to your family, your spouse, to take care of your kid. Okay, can you handle picking up and dropping off the kid from school today? Or talk to a neighbor. Find that network that allows you to do your best, in either place. And you need to have that network not only at home, but also at work. Talk to your peers, ensure that they are there to back you up in case there is an emergency needed at home and you are not able to be there at work, right? So figure out ways to to blend that between work and the different roles that you play, including your passion, right? Lastly, remember that your career is a marathon. So it is okay to take a break occasionally. Don't try to run it like a sprint because you'll burn out much, much faster. And this is especially true for working moms because you need those smaller, shorter breaks in order to stay in the race. You can never completely unwind. So you need those smaller breaks in order to ensure that you are there for the long haul.
Only one thing I have to add is if I were 22, the joy of missing, as Vidya rightly said, right? Sometimes joy of missing is also very important. Maybe at that age, I was not missing anything. Still, I remember even during my marriage leave, I used to still talk in phone because I was so scared that, okay, after 21 days, I have to come and my manager will ask me so many things. It's all something it's built in your head that if you're not there, the whole world will crumble, right? Sometimes. So that is something I would really want to change if I know this earlier at the age of 22. The first thing I would have done is stop thinking that if I'm not there, everything will fall off. Sometimes it is okay to take care of self. And it is okay to enjoy. Joy of missing is something recently I started doing, and it is pretty fine and pretty good. So, and nothing is majorly happening, and still things are moving good. So that is something I would really want to do if I go back to my 22.
I think one thing you might want to kind of take note of is that this is the steepest part of your learning curve. And the time at hand that you have, you will never have luxury of so much time just for yourself. And what you do and what you don't do will actually define who you are at a later point of time. So investing time in learning, whether you are learning by investing in terms of learning courses, learning curriculum, or learning things which are around you, your internships or whatever, plunging in those, that learning has a big compounding effect. So if you were to ever think that, if you have an asset in the form of money or whatever, if you were thinking about, should I do this? Should I buy this? Should I go for this experience? That learning, the compounding that you get for it in the later part of your career, that is unparalleled. So just kind of try to soak it in as much like a sponge.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There's this famous line, I think, from Robert Frost's poem: "Do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there's no path and leave a trail." As correctly said by Vidya, ma'am, you do not have to fit into the mold which has already been created, carve your own mold and, leave that to the future generations to, become a role model. So thank you so much for your experiences. I think the audience today would greatly benefit from the stories that you've right now shared and shared. So moving on to the next part, nobody is consistently perfect employee, teammate, or leader. And everybody will at some point receive critical feedback in their journey, or if they have had a failure at work. So we all need a strategy that helps you to tackle stress, workplace conflicts, and addresses challenges on the job. So we would like to know from you, how have you built confidence and resilience over the course of your professional career? Is there any incident that you remember that had made you realize the importance of being resilient at corporates and at your workplaces?
I'll take that. I'm so thankful that I had a lot of eventful experiences in my career journey. When I was young like you, I used to think that, okay, when we finish MBA and enter into a corporate, all you have to do is you will sit in the board room and you will give ideas and world will applaud. So that's how we have been always studying in our curriculum also, right? So the first resilience started knowing that you have to work, you get your hands dirty, and you need to step down to the level. Even I was given I was entering into a field marketing role. So I was asked to maintain all the brochures inventory. So that was being looked down by many people, but I was taking that as a chance for implementing 5 years there whatever I have learned, and cost saving happened because of that, and that helped me to pick up some move in the career ladder. So everything you should see as an opportunity when you start your career. That's where the whole resilience started. And I was always thinking that when you move up to the managerial position, then you really reach to a level. So when that happened, obviously I was getting married and I was my family way, and all those things were also parallelly happening. So a lot of then only I understood that a lot of inner voices and surrounding noises will be there to tell you that what you're doing is not right. You're not prioritizing your family first. You're too self-focused or you're self-obsessed. So much of other noises will come around you. And you will also find in workplace people seeing you differently. Oh, you are going in maternity leave. You may not come so early. How are you, leading a team, or how are you heading a team? That was the toughest part for me, because from my childhood, for me always is career first, women. And I know how I will balance my career. I know after maternity leave, I can able to take care of my kid as well as my work. But in workplace, they started seeing that no, Scindia need to maybe step down. Somebody else need to come up because she is having a kid. She may never travel. She may don't attend late night calls. It was all the assumptions it was made in the surrounding. And unfortunately, fellow women were also not encouraging me much. So there were, first shocker, because I was craving for someone to come and tell me, like someone like Irina, someone like Vidya to come and say, hey, I have been there in that journey. It's okay. You can pull it through. It's okay to take small breaks. It's okay to, stay a little laid back in certain initiatives. I was craving for someone to come and tell me that, but everyone said that, you have to stop being a team manager. You have to stop being a GTM leader. You have to take a light job because your family needs, your kid needs you. So that is the time I understood that your inner resilience is very important. Your focus is very important. So your self-love and self-focus is something you really, really require at that time to build the resilience. So that pregnancy period and the maternity period, I have navigated that very nicely. So that's where I think that I'm sitting here and talking. If I would have dropped the ball there, maybe I would have missed so much in life. So the important thing to build is patience and resilience. So for me, that pregnancy period, I would call it as a big resilience period.
Yeah, just to add, right, I think every organization that I've worked in, I've had people tell me that I can't do something. And that has always been a trigger for me to actually go and do it. Okay, to prove it's not about being arrogant, or it's not about being, for me, because I believed in what I thought was right for the organization at that point in time. And I just went ahead and did it, and then proved them that what I was saying is proved my value to the organization. And that's what is, that resilience is really important when you take up a job, and to believe in yourself. And I've also had, worked in industries where we hardly had women. I've had to fight for separate, toilets for women. It started with those, it might sound very trivial today, or it might even sound like, what are you saying? You didn't have a separate bathroom for women. Yes, we did not. So we had to fight for those things. I've had men, come in trying to harass women by making them stay late. And these are things that may not happen to you, because you come across as somebody who's brave and who will speak out, but this is happening to somebody else. And I've had to go and complain about people. This is not about a men-women thing at all, right? Like how Scindia was just mentioning, it's not always the men. It's also about like the entire environment that you're in. You'll have to stand up and talk about it when you see those incidents happening around you. So that I've done that. And, there have been clients, when I was in the agency side, there have been clients who would question when I would go on leave, like, oh, you didn't tell me. And I had to tell those people that you're not my boss, right? I've informed my boss. I'm going to visit my mom. Do you have a problem? I've said that in so many words. Like sometimes it's also about, they don't expect you to speak up, right? So it's about speaking up. It is using the right verbiage. It's using the getting your advocacy within your organization, be it women or men, it does not matter. It's about having that continuous belief in yourself. It is about standing up for what you think is wrong. It's okay. You will find that support sometime. You may not find it immediately. You may not find it in your immediate environment, but there are women who have broken the biases all through their life. I think Navnidh was mentioning this, like we've had women leaders to look up to all our lives, right? So take inspiration from what you have. I mean, look up to them and see what they have done differently. These women have done things that you would, if they had not done it, you would never have had a first women prime minister. Today, US is boasting of vice president women. I mean, we've had women in leadership positions all our lives in India. So I think there's lots to, look at in our own surroundings, and building confidence and resilience is not going to come from outside. It's within us. So don't wait for somebody else to do that for you or encourage you. Or it's just about you.
And actually, since I was craving for that inspiration, I created that there is a leaders podcast I'm hosting. So every week I used to bring women leaders like Bhuvana to come and tell their stories. So at least like people like me who are craving to look up to inspirations who have lived, maybe like it's not always you look up to Indra Nooyi or you look up to Indira Gandhi, right? Sometimes you will feel they are very few in numbers. In reality, there are a lot more people like Bhuvana, Navnidh, so many people are there who have done that. So if I would have had that opportunity, maybe I will always think that my learning curve would have been much, much better. So the one thing I'm doing today is bringing up that podcast, celebrating these women leaders. So a lot of upcoming women are drawing inspirations from them. So I'm so proud of doing that. That is also part of the resilience I built over, where I feel that I have to stand up and give back to the society also.
Yeah, with your permission, if I can add one anecdotal example here. So one is that resilience is something which is like the core of who we are actually, right? And it said, no, from good bosses, you learn quite a lot, but sometimes from bad bosses, they actually strive you to the next level of excellence. And without naming anyone here, good, bad, ugly, or maybe fortunately, I was encountered with one such boss, and me being from an engineering background, and thereafter I had done my engineering after MBA and so on. I was always very comfortable with numbers, right? So while for an initial part of my career, I was doing HR business partnering role. So I was in one of my annual talent review conversation with my boss, and she said, okay, what do you want to do? And by the way, quote unquote, she, right? She said, what is it that you want to do next in your career? So I said, maybe I want to do a comp and ben role. Right. And me from an engineering background, MBA, I was quite comfortable. I said, well, what is so big shakes about it? I have not done it, but I can do it. Right. She told me, no. It's a very technical field. Maybe some more time. And that was like the turning point for me. I said, and that time I was 3 months pregnant with my second child. And now that was a drive within my own self to say that now I have to get into comp and ben. Unfortunately, for doing that, I had to switch over the company at that point in time. But thereafter, I joined in a PMS comp and ben role. HR analytics was added to my role. Thereafter, I moved to another organization. And when I came out of comp and ben, I was in a global role in comp and ben. I used to travel to Singapore quite often because Singapore was our headquarters of, I'm talking of Standard Chartered Bank. So I think somewhere this is a resilience which really builds you, right? And especially when you get a knock from somewhere which is absolutely undeserving, I think that sets the tone for you to pave a new path for yourself. So that's a small anecdote here, if that helps everyone. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any more panelists who would like to, share your experiences that you've seen?
I just wanted to say breaking the mold, Navnidh, with that anecdote.
Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. As correctly said, that I think there will be many forces throughout the journey that will try to bring us down. And ma'am said that, get your hands dirty, get the practical exposure to the industry, and have patience and resilience throughout. and it will move you forward in the direction that you want to. I think I will, or all of us will definitely look up to all of you moving ahead in our career journeys as we move ahead. So now I would like Isha to take the conclave forward.
Thank you so much, Shreya. And before starting up with my following questions, I would really like to thank you all the panelists because the answers were really very interesting. And it was a great time listening to all of you, especially what Navnidh ma'am shared her experience. So I'm pretty sure every one of us here has had their part of a similar experience in their lifetime. Even I had my very good fellow friends in my school time who used to question, like, you really think you can do it? You think you will make a change? And I guess that criticism is very important to get that type of determination to do something different in life or to achieve what we have told in front of everyone. So moving on, the reason leadership perspective is important is because it represents the way we view ourselves and situations, how we evaluate the relative importance of things, and how we develop a very meaningful relationship with others and everything around us. So my next question is, so how did you navigate your power structures early in your career versus later in your career when you had a more formal leadership role?
I can take that, Isha. Thank you.
Sure.
And, I mean, you would have seen a clear display of leading with confidence at whatever age all of us were, right? I think that's what I did earlier in my career as well. And I mean, I've never looked for a job, by the way. Like, it's all come through networking, and I just walked in, or I've done a walk-in and met people, and then they've said, "Are you interested in this job? We have this job," and that's how I've been, growing my career. And I don't remember even thinking once that something was out of my capability or understanding. I'm not saying I knew everything. I didn't know everything, right? So that was, first of all, I had that understanding that I don't know everything, but I never displayed that. If I didn't know something, I would always make that, thing to go and learn about it, understand, observe, speak to a lot of people in the organization. I've worked in television, I've worked in advertising agencies, I've worked in corporates. So I worked with a gamut of across all organizations. But one thing I was clear is I want to do marketing. That my goal was very clear, and I kind of decided that in my 11th grade. So having that as my goal, I was moving across organizations, and the only way to learn, and we didn't have what you guys have today in syllabus, different parts of marketing, or there was no programmatic marketing being taught or digital marketing being taught. Whatever we've learned is on the job, right? So you really needed to learn on your own. And the other thing that also I did to kind of break the power structure was I would actually go and participate and give ideas to my CEO, even though I was not expected to do so. Like, if I had an idea, I would walk up to the CEO and talk to him saying, this is what I have in mind, and I think this will benefit the organization. And it's also about, kind of putting it across, having that narration, having that confidence to go and say, this is how, like, you have to think it through, right? That's what I used to do. I think it through and present not just the idea, but a full-fledged plan. So that got the ears of the leaders as well at that point in time. And of course, all this thinking of purpose, knowing your why, and all these conversations are happening today. And at that time, I don't think any of us looked at purpose and, why do we live, the purpose of our career. And, we just wanted to work. And at least that's true for me. And I wanted to earn money. I wanted to, make a career for myself. And that's what my focus was. And I just want to grow. And I'm just saying, like, it was that self-awareness that I brought to the table. And I still remember one of the CEOs saying, I overheard him telling a HR person that this girl has her head on the shoulder. It was a simple comment, but it still stayed with me till now, because that's what I was, displaying to him, right? And that I took it as a compliment. And I was probably in my 20s at that point in time. And for me, that made a huge difference, because he said that because I had a point of view. And that's where, I started and then created that space for myself in every organization I worked. What I also discovered that it was always easy to have direct conversations with the detractors. You do have your supporters, you also have your detractors. The minute I would identify somebody who's not encouraging because it's your gender or because they think you're very young. Sometimes you face this also when you're very young, you're not taken seriously, right? I would actually go and have conversations with them to understand why are they not listening to what I'm saying? What is their issue? What is their problem? So I would actually get their point of view, and then if there was enough reason, then I would listen to them. I would take that input as well. But if there was not enough reason, then I would actually counter it. I would give my point of view and convince them that what they're thinking is wrong. So that's another thing that I learned much early on. And that's actually something that would either surprise them or shock them, because they didn't expect me to confront them at all. So I also had, I think someone in the panel mentioned that ambition, right? I also had the ambition to keep growing. And I never bothered if there was a power structure or not. All this, lingo is today, right? We never, I mean, at least when I walked in, for me, the CEO was my colleague. That's how I viewed it. And we would have discussion. And being in marketing also gives you that additional, I would say, path to the leadership teams, right? You are part of the team and you're having those conversations. You're, actually building the brand. So you have to be in connection with the leadership team as well. So that was an added advantage for me. And as I mentioned earlier, I also built advocacy in the organizations, especially with men. I also built trust, right? The minute you build trust, then they are entrusting you with larger responsibilities. I still remember I used to run, and this may come as a surprise to you, is like I used to run advertising for 1.5 crores in those days. I used to work for AppTech, and that was the advertising budget I used to get. You don't get that kind of budget even today, right? I was interested with that kind of budget in those days, and I took it up and I just proved that I was capable of doing what they expected me to do. And I think it's important that women themselves need to stand up and then invest in self, right? I also continuously invested in upgrading my skills, applying that and reinforcing learning at work or in life. So that is really important. And you need to often navigate power structures within professional environments, but that also requires personal awareness and tactics which can actually effectively help you navigate those barriers and challenges. Build those support systems, build those environment within your organization. And, personal power, to me, at least, is a practice, with continuous evolution. And that's what constitutes power. And for me, it is about creating that influence, control, strength, authority with authenticity. So that's how I was able to build that over a period of time. And I continue to, build it based on the very authentic way of putting myself across the organization. Back to you, Isha.
So one thing, maybe I'm comparatively younger in this panel, I believe. So I'm able to resonate everyone's point of view. Whatever Bhuvana said, still I'm going through. So I'll always be wanting to express my opinions, and I want them to at least pilot certain ideas. But making them to feel you as an important person or you can contribute itself is a big struggle. Throughout, I'm also learning all the time. Maybe like very few women are having the self-confidence to defend that. I recently studied that only 22% of women are having self-confidence as an inherent value, which has been taught in their childhood. So which is an important value. So imagine that if self-confidence is not been taught as an important value in the childhood, most of the female don't even understand that it is important for them to build their resilience. We all are talking about resilience, navigating the career path or breaking the mold. For that, the basic is building confidence on you. So as Bhuvana said, I used to do that. I used to go and understand, hey, it's okay, I'm junior, maybe like I'm not so senior like you, I'm not having 30 years of experience like you, maybe I'm 15 years of experience, but what makes my idea less relevant? Maybe tame me, maybe help me to understand so that I can also grow myself instead of just discounting because that I'm young. So speaking up is very important. Sometimes it may burn you. Sometimes they may tell that you're an arrogant person or you are more aggressive or you may be branded as, very self-obsessed person, ADHD. So many things you may get branded being a woman especially. But all these things is again like the earlier we all told, that just need to ignore and move on towards like what we wanted. So I could understand from everyone that self-love, self-understanding, self-confidence, and knowing what you want will help you to build the resilience and ignore all the surrounding noises. And Bhuvana, I really was able to resonate a lot on whatever you're saying, because I'm still going through that. I really was able to connect with that. Thank you for that insights.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing. Vidya, ma'am, you want to go ahead? Yeah, sure.
Isha, if I may, I just had to add
Definitely.
a couple of things. It was very nice to hear both Bhuvana and Scindia talk about it. In terms of navigating power struggles, one thing that I realize, just listening to them, is that you have to be clear and assertive about what you bring to the table. Whether it is a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. You have to be absolutely clear about what you're bringing to the table. You have to, and that goes back to the self-confidence that both of them were talking about, right? You need to have that, number one. Number two, you also need to ensure that you have the courage to sit at the table and make your point of view. Without courage, that's the first step, and without that, whether it is a woman or a man, you can't get anywhere. You can't, Bhuvana was talking about how she walked up to the CEO. That requires courage. It requires self-confidence, but it also requires you to say, okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. I have confidence in myself and the value that I bring, and I have enough courage to go out there. What is the worst that will come out of it, right? You have to have that ability to say, I'm okay with dealing with those kind of repercussions, but it is important for me to express my point of view. And those two are very, very essential as you think about navigating power structures within an organization. The other thing that is also important is do not start confronting based on biases that you might have about leadership, right? Not all leaders are going to dismiss you because you're junior. Not all leaders are going to dismiss you because you are a woman. No, things are changing, and things have been, there are always these key people that I found in my leadership where they gave you equal opportunities. They never had that bias in their head. We think that they have that bias because we have been brought up to think that they have that bias, right? So it's important to realize that give everybody the benefit of doubt. Start with an equal footing. Bring yourself to the table. Grab a chair, sit at the table, voice your opinion, give it deep thought, and ensure that you have that self-confidence and courage to put your view across. And then have the courage to deal with whatever other consequences.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing all your personal experiences with us. And it really helped us understand what are the different ways that we could actually follow that one needs to take in order to fit in the different roles and responsibilities. And the different learnings that we got were the only way to learn at that time, during your time when you were starting, was to learn from the job. So right now we have an added advantage to learn it from different sources, and bringing the right ideas with the same level of courage were definitely some of the key points that we all will remember. So moving forward with the other questions, we have seen that an increasing number of startups and new businesses have been added or founded in India over the last decade. It's been very evident, but the majority of them were by men. While many Indian women have the entrepreneurial ambitions, but it is often more difficult for them to succeed. So talking about the women entrepreneurship in India, we would like to understand about your take on the prospects, the key challenges, and the opportunities at the new era of workplace for women.
Thanks, Isha. I think let me take a stab on this question. So,
sure, ma'am.
First is the increasing presence of women as entrepreneurs has led to a change in the demographic characteristics of the business and brought in the economic growth of the country. And women enterprises are obviously playing a very, very key role in terms of shaping the society who we are today and who we will be in the years to come, and also generating the next level of employment opportunity. While there is a need for a sustainable growth of women entrepreneurs, the initiatives or schemes like startup, stand up by Government of India are definitely going to be an enabler to take the women entrepreneurship to the next level. And just for the interest of, audience out here, the students out here, so what do we really call it as women entrepreneurs? So wherever, as per Government of India definition, wherever there's a 51% or more financial stake of a woman is called a woman enterprise, or which has got an ability to generate 50% or more employment opportunities for the woman is called a woman enterprise, right? And obviously, to support this, the Government of India has come up with allowances for the women entrepreneurs to ensure that there are more women getting into it. Talking of the global stats, as we speak today, as of I think 2021 survey, there are 1/3 of the entrepreneurship venture which are being run by women today, which is a very, very encouraging number. And I think to begin with, Irina gave a very, very nice anecdote to say that we have to really see where we came from and where we have reached today, right? So from a minuscule number to a 1/3 population across the globe, I think it's a very, very encouraging number, right? And to my mind, I think the challenge is multifolds when it's a woman enterprise versus a man. I mean, entrepreneurship, any which ways, all of us know that entrepreneurship is not everyone's cup of tea. I may be very secure in my job. There is at the end of the month, there is a fixed salary which is coming and there's a bonus which is coming. I'm very comfortable, right? And even if I want to, maybe I don't have a risk-taking ability today to even get into entrepreneurship, right? So entrepreneurship by itself brings a lot of challenges. I think for women, it multifolds to an extent that there are financial constraints. And that basically goes, the way we operate as an Indian society, not many property deals are done on the name of women. They're only done when there is a 1% less property tax which is supposed to be paid. That's when we say, okay, let's get this done on the name of a woman, right? If someone is really, really genuine on that piece, right? So one is the financial constraints. Secondly, the mobility part of it. Obviously, there are challenges around mobility, and when you have to deal with the entire supply chain from the procurement to the consumer, there are various elements which come into play in the whole value chain, right? So mobility being another one. Thirdly, very important, I think the societal pressure itself, right? And now this is no different whether the woman is in entrepreneurship or she's working in a corporate. And, when I was talking, or Irina or Vidya or Bhuvana were talking, we spoke of our maternity periods, and even I think Scindia spoke about it, right? So we are looking very ancient to you today. It somehow looked like that we are from a different era, but that era was just a few years back. Just that we have progressed quite a lot over the recent years, and there are more girls joining into the corporate. So it's always been difficult, and it becomes even more difficult when it's an entrepreneurship venture. So these are a few of the things which are on my top of the mind. And on your second part of the conversation, how do we really break that? I think we've spoken enough on it. Whether it's a resilience, whether it is coming out of your comfort zone, extremely, extremely very important, right? Whether it is risk-taking ability, right? Whether it is following your passion and just be driven by a passion without actually, you've seen the horse, right? Horse has been put this 2 wings around here so that the diversion doesn't take place on the right or the left side, and there's a one focus with which the horse keeps moving and keep running, right? So sometimes you have to put those shadows on to say that, okay, fine, I am going to be, focused on my mission, what I want to do in my life, without getting distracted by a lot of other things, right? And it all lies between, us. I mean, it's all within, if you really ask me. This year's International Women's Day theme also is breaking the bias, right? Right? So bias is nothing. Bias is here. All bias is here. External bias comes much later. The bias comes from here. It starts from here. So I think that's what we need to break, and especially when we talk of women entrepreneurships. So that's my take. Thanks.
We kind of add a little on that part.
Sure.
So I'm a trustee in a foundation called Sonda Connect, and we look at mentoring and kind of grooming up early stage startups. And this is all women, right? Now, what we see are two sides of the overall lens. When you kind of look at how how people are getting support as women and who are entrepreneurs. In the pandemic, actually, many women took a plunge in terms of going across and starting things of their own, because they really kind of felt that that is a time in which they can kind of think and go across into creation of net new ideas. A lot of funding also came. Having said that, the funding which came across to women was still minuscule of the overall thing. Now, flipping the thing, when you look at women who are getting into entrepreneurship, what are the ingredients which are required for a successful entrepreneur, right? I mean, the things as we know, having a sound financial way of looking at things, having the right tech way of kind of doing things. If you're a tech-led entrepreneur, having a right product fitment, having a right way of kind of reaching out to the audience, the right go-to-market, the right legal, keeping the financial books, etc. Now, certain parts of these things do not come naturally to women, and sometimes women do consider some of these a little bit of a thing that, I mean, can somebody else take care of it? I would say that there are two parts. It's not necessary that when you're kind of taking a plunge, you have to know it well. There are many people out there to support you, right? So if you just ask for help, and I think in an entrepreneurial journey, many people are always willing to lend a helping hand. So asking for help and going out and seeking that and getting many more people as a part of that mission and things that you're trying to run towards becoming a larger enterprise, that momentum itself is very critical. The second part, knowing your blind spots. So when you know that these are my blind spots, which is where I need people to kind of be around and flank me so that I remain invested and I am kind of delivering value on the core things that I am really good at, whereas the others are kind of there around with me, that brings in a force multiplier. So I would say these are two things. Women should also reach out and ensure that they are kind of taking things along. And a big call out always to the industry is what we are kind of always asking for, to ensure that the minute there is a bit of a catalyst which kind of comes in to give that encouragement or that first mover to a woman, they kind of do wonders too.
Yeah, just to add, I mean, great points, Irina and Navnidh. But I've had the privilege of speaking to people like Shraddha Sharma and Vani Kola, who are actually leading these conversations in the country, right? And when you talk to them, what is really, I mean, they do face the bias. It's not like these women have not failed, but they've not had the fear of failure. I think that is also, got them to, they just keep moving forward. Like when I speak to a Shraddha, I see her like, bring life to any conversation. She's just that, she just brings happiness to any conversation. And she's just like, she's constantly, anytime we want to get onto a call with her, she's like, okay, next I have a VC, meeting. I'm talking to this funding person. I'm talking to this, somebody who's investing. I'm talking to this another startup person. But again, when it comes to the women entrepreneurship, what they face is this, I think Navnidh mentioned this, fear, or being in a comfort zone, right? I think when women get out of that comfort zone, I think it's going to be another era in India with women entrepreneurship leading the way. And I think when they start questioning this bias of VCs funding, not funding women, ideas or whatever it is, or how is it being, it's also about, going and taking stock of how is it being represented in the country. Is it really that women are not going and presenting their ideas, or is it getting rejected? So I think we need to take stock of that situation also before we say that there is no women entrepreneurship in the country. I think it's changing. The pandemic has actually allowed women to start, being entrepreneurs on their own. I've seen many women, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? It could be Zumba classes, it could be yoga classes, it could be wellness classes, it could be anything. It's not about just, making apps. Entrepreneurship is not just about that. But again, going back to what is really thriving in India as startups in entrepreneurship is the technology conversation. It is about, tech innovation. And that's where people are looking at India to create that niche. And that takes us back to where are we lacking? It goes back to the STEM conversation. How many women are, in the STEM conversation? How many women are taking out that that charge up? How many of us are actually enabling other women in the STEM enablement itself? I think Irina just mentioned Shonda, correct? It is one of the bodies which helps with the STEM conversation in the country. So I think it's about questioning that bias. It is about questioning the comfort zone. It's stepping beyond that comfort zone and understanding our own power to create this entrepreneurship, and building that endurance within the women community, I think, and being, pursuing your dreams, what may. I think that will change the narration in the country for women entrepreneurship.
If we fast forward 10 years from now and look at IIM Kashipur's International Women's Day conversation like this, 10 years down the line, I'm pretty sure we'll have Isha, Shreya, and other people from IIMs who are going to be perhaps women entrepreneurs and are going to have this exact same conversation with their juniors saying, hey, this is how we learned. So every conversation that we're having like this is a stepping stone in the right direction for encouraging women to be at the forefront of leading industry, whether it is technology or whether it is entrepreneurship, whatever it is. So good that we're having these conversations.
Definitely, ma'am. I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, I'm so thankful for such a detailed answer. And women entrepreneurship is something is I've experienced very closely because of my mom. She herself is a woman entrepreneur. The year when I went to engineering college, she started a baking industry. So I've seen that, yes, she did face plethora of challenges for sure, but she also had the courage to convert those into suitable opportunities. So I feel entrepreneurship, as I also deducted from all of your experiences and answers, is a combination of both. You do have challenges, as Navnidh ma'am said, but you can also convert them into opportunities if you have the courage to do so. So thank you so much. And I'm very sure with them, ma'am, we will be learning a lot from these.
Isha, just on a lighter note, since you're yourself from a woman entrepreneur family, you were testing our knowledge out, right, on this?
No, I was just increasing my knowledge. I just wanted to understand that what else could I learn about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. And I'll definitely tell my mother about all the conversations I heard. She'll experience it more as she has faced them personally. So moving on. Inspiration, as we all know, has a very significant role in everyone's life as it actually propels a person from apathy to possibility and transforms the actual way we perceive our own capabilities. So, as said by Martin Luther Jr., inspiration acts as a stone of hope out of the mountain of despair. So, can you please share a woman's empowerment moment that inspired any one of you? We would really like to know that.
I can take that.
Sure,
sorry, I've been one of the panelists, but I think I've taken the position of an audience right now, just hearing your experiences. It's been wonderful hearing all of you. And to be honest, I think I am relatively the youngest right now. I am pregnant with my second. I have a 2.5-year toddler. So trust me, whatever you guys said, I am going through it literally today. Like my toddler is up when I woke up in the morning and I was like, can somebody take care? I have to hop onto this call. So thank you. It's been wonderful listening to you. And I think more than moments, I think more than one women empowered moment, there'll be many that I can cite off that have inspired me. I think predominantly, I would want to speak about women leadership in the face of COVID-19. I think it's one phase where we've seen women leaders just shine up. If I had to speak of somebody right at the top, I think I'd like to give the example of the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. Imagine if you are at the highest position in leadership where you're trying to make decisions for the entire country. If you make a decision that goes down the slope, people are going to judge you, right? So in the case of adversity and crisis, if you have to make decisions that impact people's lives, whether they're going to die or they're going to live, how your economy is going to shape up, that's really going to truly judge you as a leader. And she was the first one to actually make a decision to go for a complete shutdown for New Zealand to protect the country. That itself speaks volumes of her decision-taking ability, which I think where most developed countries at that point just couldn't gauge of what they have to do at a national level. They were just leading on, leadership at state level or at lower level to make decisions for the country. So her responsiveness to such a situation, to gauge what the pros and cons are and to protect her country with the level of empathy that she had, I think that is what probably differentiates her from other leaders that I have seen. I think women have a sense of empathy when they communicate to their fellow peers, citizens. How she channeled that through, I think, was really, really inspiring. This is something who I would want to speak at a leadership level, but I think I'd also want to give credit to all the wives, mothers at home who've actually led their families during this entire COVID phase. I think it's been one of those situations where women took charge on how they have to run the house during this period, right? Of who needs to step out, who needs to step in, how you have to sanitize goods, how you have to run the house, how you have to protect your family. I think that is itself showing, great and tremendous amount of leadership. I remember, and this is something that I personally went through. I was living with my in-laws that time. My daughter was just about a year and a half. And, I used to do the action of delegation. Like, this is what we need to do. This is how we have to protect ourselves. Whether we have to step out or not, making those sort of decisions to protect my family was, I think, one thing. Lastly, I think here I'd want to chime on the entrepreneurship piece as well. We've seen a lot of women take entrepreneurship roles during this period, not only to protect their families from economic, slowouts that were coming in the industry, right? Like, a lot of women took tiffin services as an entrepreneurship avenue during this period, because women, if they were families sick, they couldn't cook at home, right? So how did we lean on such services that women provided to sustain other families and made a business out of it? So that itself, I think, at a minuscule level was significant during this entire period. So I think how COVID just shaped the entire industry, not in terms of industry, family, not just in terms of the resilience period, but how we saw women entrepreneurship coming through and inspired a lot of other women in this period as well. Back to you, Isha.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Any other panelists would want to share their views?
Wanted to add, it's not about a campaign or anything, right? I also wanted to address this to the men here. I think it's important that, there was another session today and where it is important that men also take up that, ask for men, that mentorship, to understand what women go through in the organization, to listen more about what's really happening and why this is so much of an issue that we're here on a Tuesday evening and discussing so much about this, right? So it is definitely, we're at a point where men are participating more and more in these conversations. And I think we would agree that maybe 3 years, prior to this, we did not have men participating in this conversation as much as they are doing today. They are part of the campaigns. They are allies to what we are all trying to do here to change the conversation around women, equity, equality, diversity, and what have you. So I think the future generation here who's listening in this panel, to this panel, also have that power and the responsibility to kind of bring this equity much faster, right? So that we're not continuing to discuss this, or this doesn't become a topic of conversation year on year as well. So I just wanted to kind of leave that point.
Thank you so much, ma'am. From both of your answers, we really understood the fact that for anything great and good that you want to do in your life, there is one crucial prerequisite, and that is an inspiration, which can come from anybody and from any moment in our life down the years. And a good inspiration actually brings with it a wave of energy that can itself propel you over the finish line. And I'm sure whatever you shared with us today is going to inspire all of us, and especially the young women leaders out there, like some of us here in the crowd. So thank you everyone, and for all the panelists for answering all the questions in so detail and in such a personalized manner by sharing your experiences that it made this session very, very productive. And I'm sure hearing your thoughts and perspective that you all have gained through the years must have helped all the students to understand that when women become leaders, they provide a different set of skills, imaginative perspective, and most importantly, structural and cultural differences that are very essential for driving effective solutions. So now I believe this is the time for the students to come up and ask questions if they want. And I would like to request Rahim to just take it forward.
Thank you, Isha, and thank you so much, all the panelists. I personally feel that all your words of wisdom were really inspiring. I'm sure our students must have learned a lot from all of you. So I'll start this question and answer round with a short question myself. In the meantime, students, if you have any question, you may raise your hand and we'll take some of your questions one by one. So I'll start with my question. So panelists, we have a series that is currently going on our LinkedIn page titled Abhigyan. In this series, we post the learnings or advices from renowned industry leaders like all of you, so that all those learnings can help the young minds to move ahead in their respective careers. So it's my request from all of you, if you can share one piece of advice for each and everyone present in this meet. All of us are budding managers, so we'll definitely learn a lot from all your advices.
May I go first?
Yeah, okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, Parul, it's okay. You being the youngest, please take the lead.
Okay. So thank you for that, Navnidh. I think the first and the most important thing that helped me, and I'm going to quote Sheryl Sandberg here, don't leave before you leave. And this is something that my mentor told me when I was 21. I remember I was at the stage of my career where I think most women here spoke about it, where we're put in certain molds, right? Where we're put into certain society expectations. So I was an engineer, finished my graduation, was hoping to take a career choice that would deem perfect maybe 8 or 10 years down the line to help balance a family. That was my personal decision that I was trying to make at this point. And that's because not only, in the 90s where we were, I think one of the panelists, Vidya, I think mentioned where you were brought up in a way that you had to make choices based on you finish your education, you get married, you raise kids. I think I was brought up the same way. It was not any different. And I was thinking that I should take a career choice that fits in that mold, right? And I was fortunate to meet my mentor at that time. She's Ms. Dipali Nair. She is the CMO for the digital marketing IIM, and she quoted this to me, and she quoted Sheryl Sandberg, and that's what I wanted to tell you guys the same thing. Don't leave before you leave. What that means? That means that you don't have to make a career choice today that is going to fit your requirements 8 or 10 years later. My idea of a career choice at that time was maybe I work 5 to 6 hours so that I have enough time for my family, for my kid. But why did I have to make that choice then? I probably did not even have a boyfriend then. I was going to marry 7 years later. Why am I restricting myself into that cage, right? So at that time, I think I had all the time to be bold, to be ambitious. And that just went away suddenly because now I thought, okay, I should start turning myself to how my future is going to be 5 years or 6 years later. So that's really important, when you know that this is something that's going to come to you years ahead. You don't have to decide on that today. You can decide on that when you get there. I was 21. I was pregnant when I was 29. I would have missed 8 years, 8 fruitful years of what life would have taught me had I just taken a seat back. I could have made this decision. I probably did. I made this decision when I was 29, 9 months pregnant with my daughter, and then said, okay, I want to go on maternity leave now. The company gives 4 months. I'll take 2 months more. I took a 6-month leave. I took a step. I think I tried to sustain my career rather than moving ahead at that point. So that's the important message I want to give. And I'm sure most women even today go through that thing in their head, right? Like, okay, can I or should I take this career? You always are in a point of self-doubt because XYZ told you this, XYZ has done this. I think it's really important and that you make the decision when you get there. And if you are going to be years and months ahead, you don't have to decide for that today. You have all the time to live your dreams, to do what you want. And then again, it's a personal choice. If you want to take it slow when you get there, great. If you don't want to and you still can be aggressive and you've managed to create a balanced system for yourself where you have people to support you, a great partner, probably some sort of help, that's fantastic. Whatever works for you. But like I said, don't leave before you leave. Hold on. Live your dreams, and then once you get there, then decide for yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, let me just take a, try responding to this. According to me, there could be actually, and this is going to be a little bit more, gender specific response and maybe more addressing towards the females and the students in the call here. There could be 3 derailers to my mind. The one is, the marriage, the motherhood, or the mobility. These could be the 3 major derailers, plus minus, depending on the situation that you are in, right? And in any one of that, I think what is very, very important is the ability to ask for help. Don't hesitate to ask help from a trusted source, whether it's your family members, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your near and dear ones, your neighbors, your bosses, your colleagues. There is a strong power in the power of sisterhood. And I think we somewhere in organizations, we forget that. I mean, when we hear each other's stories, we all are feeling so encouraged, right? I'm myself, while I've gone done dusted with my maternity phase, my child is almost getting into his teens now. It's been long done dusted, but still we feel so inspired listening to each other's stories, right? And we feel that, okay, we belong to that community. We all of us struggled our own ways out in different scenarios. So the power of sisterhood is very, very important, and especially for young people while you get into different phases of your life. Talk to people around. Try creating your sponsors around, right? Make your presence felt in the organization. Unfortunately, I've seen, and this scenario is not going to certainly overturn just by, us being very, very convinced about it. The gender ratio in the organization will still be leaner in the times. It will change. It's not certainly going to become 50%, right? If we are, as of now, at hovering around 20-25% at max in some sectors and probably 30-35% odd in banking and financial sector, it's not going to change overnight. But for all you students for next 10 years, you will still have a gender gap clearly visible at your workplaces. And there is no circumvention from that, right? And the good part here is, when you are part of those conversations as a female, you will be lesser in number in those boardrooms, in those meeting rooms. And that's a reality, right? Make your presence felt with the rightful attitude and the question queries and the value that you bring to the table. It's easy to get noticed when you are in smaller community. Good, bad, ugly. Bad thing also will get noticed first. Good thing also will get noticed, equally fast. So ensure that the value that you bring to the table is really something that organization is harnessing from. And while Rahim, you'd requested for me for one word of advice, but I can't refrain from quoting the second one. You're going to be choosing your life partners in the years to come. Some of you may have already chosen. Some of you would choose your life partners. Choose your life partners well. It's not a piece of clothing that you can change very frequently, right? So choose a partner who's very supportive. And for men out here, if you are thinking that my career is more important than the woman that I'll marry, then probably you need to look outside IIM Kashipur, right? Because women will not want that to happen. And likewise for girls out here, love is good, but love is, as we say, it's blind as well. So don't get swayed by the looks. Go by the essence of the individual, because you won't be able to change this choice later. And it's very important. The support system at home is the most important thing. I mean, I think all of us will agree to that, right? The way our support system would have helped us to reach where we are. So, Rahim, these are the two thoughts from my side. Thank you so much.
Let me chime in on that one. Really nice pearls from both Parul and Navnidh. I think one thing I would always say is that this is a generation which will have many firsts. And y'all will be seeing things that we or the previous generations have not seen. So it's important to kind of be very, very curious and have that innate desire to look and see what the potentials are there in the world. What is it that the world holds for you? And at times, if you are that, then you will be finding and seeing unconventional routes, charters that you can take. So even when you're kind of going across through your educational system, looking at what is at this point of time, it's corporate job or an entrepreneurship job or a higher education. Who knows? I mean, there could be a possibility which could be there, which amongst all these things you have not thought of earlier. So be very open in your mind to take across charts which are unconventional, routes which are unconventional, non-conventional, because what happens is that your learning curve in these really are the steepest, because you're not coming there with the baggage. People are also not seeing you with any lens, and you can really push yourself and test yourself to see that what is that burning desire in your heart and your mind, which kind of drives you to deliver more. That is one advice that I would surely have.
Very nice, Irina. Parul, nice to know. Deepali is a good friend of mine, and nice to know that she's mentored you as well. She is a great mentor. She's a great mentor, and I think it'll be good for students to follow her on social media as well. Things that I tell students usually is, don't be afraid to fail, right? For sure. And don't be in a hurry. Like come to us when you come into organizations. That's your next step, right? When you move out of your academic zone, you're trying to look into a job. And I hear students come and ask, like, what's my career path going to be, right? Take your time. I think Parul also mentioned, take your time to understand the job first, understand the bigger picture of what that organization is doing, and then experiment and then go and do stretch assignments, take up shadowing. You can do that within the organization or outside the organization as well, to understand how these leaders are actually navigating their way within the organization or the industry as well. So learn more, come into the workplace with a learning attitude as well, and surround yourself with the right people. I think Navnidh also mentioned, right? People who will actually put a mirror in front of you if you're doing something wrong. That's really important, because that's what will keep you authentic, and nobody can compete with authenticity. So keep that going, and don't lose your passion, right? Build that passion, don't lose that passion, keep it up. Nothing can stop you from, growing. And I always leave students with this, like, you have the power to create that beautiful future for yourself and for so many other people in the world. So take that power, be responsible with that power, and create what you have to create. Thank you.
So I'd like to bounce off of what Bhavna, Navnidh, and Parul have said, or Irene has said. I think the most important thing that I would suggest you guys to think about is ensure that you are bringing your genuine self to the table every time you have a conversation. It's easy at this age given the exposure that you have to social media and to other things, to be swayed by what others are doing. And you get caught up in that moment, you get caught up in trying to compete or even prove to yourself that I can do what the other person is doing. So I don't get caught up in that kind of a rat race, because the genuineness that you bring to the table is what matters the most, because it lasts longest. And it makes you unique. It makes you unique. It doesn't matter whether you're a girl or a boy or a woman or a man. It's important to bring that authenticity to the work that you do. Don't borrow your words from others. Alongside that, you also have to ensure that your ability to think on your feet and bring your perspective is very, very important in an organization. Sometimes people like to please their managers, please their bosses, and they tend to agree or not raise their voice even just because they don't want to sound stupid or they don't want to sound foolish. Those are the things that you need to really be watchful of. I find that many people, when they join, especially from institutes like the IIMs and IITs, they join the workforce. I had the good fortune of having some good people in the team. They come with a lot of hesitation, but you guys have already achieved a lot. So come with that confidence, come with that point of view, but keep it well thought, keep it genuine, keep it yourself. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, panelists. All your advices were really well articulated, and we learned a lot from these advices. Bhavna, now you may go ahead with your question.
Thanks, Rahim. A very good evening to all the esteemed panelists, and thank you for a very insightful session. I would like to share with my fellow batchmates that I have had the fortune of sharing the same workspace with Vidya ma'am, and every day I would see her and get inspired by the compassion she used to display at work. So my question is to Vidya ma'am and also other panelists, please. As we step out in the corporate world in a few months, what do you think will be the biggest challenge for female leaders?
The moment you step out of your comfort zone and become a leader, in a corporate world, the first and foremost thing that you will encounter is your own inhibitions. Oh, I'm in this new place. Am I the right person? Did I deserve this? Oftentimes, many of us have that inhibition, and that is all in, like somebody said, it's in our head. It's right here, right? And it's not external. Nobody else is doubting you. They've given you that position because somebody thought that you deserved it. But then you come, sit in that seat, and then you wonder, am I really deserving this? And then you start second guessing. You start losing the confidence that got you till there. Right? So that's the first thing that you should recognize and realize and get out of. That requires a lot of self-awareness and introspection to ensure that you don't fall into that trap that further pulls you down. Right? If you start doubting yourself, or if you start questioning somebody's intelligence in making you the leader, you're essentially trying to bring yourself down. And so you get out of your own way. That's what I would say. That's one of the challenges that you should watch out for, especially as women.
Bhavna, since you specifically asked for the challenges that you guys may face as women leaders, so let me just add on to what Vidya said. When you come to the workplace, don't demand for equality. Create that for yourself, right? And unfortunately, what sometimes so happens is that as women, interns or new joiners or even women leaders, we start thinking that we should be treated equal. And I'm not saying equality is bad. Of course, equality is good. But let that come naturally, right? And let that come with the work that you do. Playing the gender card beyond a point doesn't help. It's the work which will make you, sit across in the boardrooms and make your presence felt. So just be a little bit mindful of that when any one of you get into a corporate kind of an environment. That's a small word of advice from my side.
One more thing I just wanted to add. Am I audible first? Sorry for a bad network connection. So one more thing is, before even entering into the workplace, I had this challenge when even I was shifting to another job or getting interviewed for a specific position. The first question they will ask is, when are you planning to get married, or when are you going to plan to go in a family way? And unfortunately, still those questions are there. I have seen people asking those questions. I was like, when I was sitting in my interview, I was thinking like I never even thought of getting married or having a kid. It was never there in my mind only. So these kind of things also will come. So that times you need to politely tell them that how to manage yourself and when to plan for all those things. And you're very sure that this is the path you're choosing. And this question need not be judging the opportunity which is right in front of you. So answer that politely, and also deny in giving answers to those things is also very important, because that's also because in one of the job they asked me to give commitment that in 2 years I'll not get pregnant. So those things I see, I know that actually I have already planned for that, but I never wanted to agree to someone like, no, I will not get pregnant for 2 years. So I didn't find it fair. So those things, how to put your thoughts first is also very important.
I probably am going to go, a few years ahead. I think what most women face is a guilt to leave your kid behind and go to work. And this certain guilt of, am I being a good mom? Am I doing my job well? You're always struggling between your professional and personal satisfaction. So one advice that I'd want to give here is, in order for you to feel, I won't say overcome, in order for you to feel okay to go to work, you always have to be at a job that you like and that is fulfilling. So that pushes you to get up and go to work. It shouldn't be something that you're dragging along just for the heck of working, right? Like, it shouldn't be something that you just take up because you are a secondary financial support to the system. So this happens to most mothers. I think it's now something that most women talk about it openly, that it's very, very difficult to leave a child behind, because most maternity leaves are like 6 months, 8 months, max a year. So when you have to get up and go to work at that point, always keep that in mind. It's that you have to go to a job that's fulfilling. And it's okay to have that guilt. It's something that most women face. You will get over it.
A couple of things, Bhavna, that we observe, like when we put people to work as well from a HR industry perspective, is that, freshers or women, I mean, this is not specific to women, but I'm just saying, like, freshers, it's from a college environment and then coming to a work environment, they find it a little bit, a bit of an issue to adjust to, and especially if it's virtual and you might all be joining in a virtual environment. And trust me, I joined a new organization. I changed jobs during the pandemic, and it still is a challenge, right? You still need to be able to connect to the organization, to their purpose, to their people as well. So I would advise that, get that whole networking going within the organization, look out for people with common interests, connect with them, have conversations, move out from the texting culture to having conversations over a video call, or, talking to people over the phone, because that emotional connect is very different from sending texts or WhatsApp messages. So get out of that, college culture of the way you connect at college versus I have, a 21-year at home. That's why I can talk with authority as to what that culture is as well. And ask questions, right? People in the organizations would want you to ask questions. You should involve, like, set aside time to understand your work, understand what the organization does. get that knowledge before you, show a sense of entitlement or come with that, thing that I know everything, I know what I'm speaking. Just be a little more humble and understand what you've been chosen for. And another thing is time management is definitely very different in a professional work environment. So you don't miss deadlines and communicate if you're missing deadlines as to why you're doing that. And also get your hands dirty, right? It's okay. Like initially the workload might seem very, very different from what you're facing in a college environment. It might be stretch hours, it could be more stretch assignments, it could be more work added to you. It's not written down documents that is going to, the KPI is written in a document. Nobody will be able to stick to it 100%. You may be asked to do like one or two more things. It's all right. So take it as learning, a learning phase. And I think Vidya was the one who mentioned initially that it's a very steep learning curve in the beginning. So come with an open mind, and I don't think you will face any challenges. Like organizations love to have freshers, love to have new blood with us, come with that new ideas, that enthusiasm and passion. We really love that. So just be yourself, and I don't think it'll be that challenging. You don't have to fear the workspace.
Thank you, ma'am.
So since this is all the conversation with women leaders, I just want to mention that Bhavna Malhotra is the first president of the Student Council of IIM Kashipur. So she herself is an example of a great woman leadership quality.
Congratulations, Bhavna.
Congratulations, Bhavna. You've learned something being in Optum.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, all the panelists, for answering all the questions. But due to paucity of time, I don't think we'll be able to take any more questions, but we'll make sure to forward all the remaining queries of the students on your respective mail IDs. So now I would like to formally end the session with a vote of thanks. The Corporate Relations Committee would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to all our panelists for taking out time and gracing us with their presence in this event and making it a resounding success. We are grateful for your contribution to the event, and we'll certainly take many insights from it. Shreya, if you can share the PPT, please.
Yeah, I have my email.
Thank you, Shreya. It's visible. So as a humble token of appreciation, we are proud to present you with the certificate acknowledging the planting of a tree through our partner Grow Trees. As we speak, this certificate is being delivered to you on your emails. We hope the tree signifies the values that our industry leaders have towards the growth of our country. With this thought, we thank you all once again, and we hope to continue our association with you in the future as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for this thoughtful gesture.
Yeah, it's a very innovative gift.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. And it was lovely interacting with the panel members as well as the students out here. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you so much for having us around.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely evening, all of you. Take care.
Thank you for putting this together on the day today, and thank you for having me. And it was insightful just listening to all of you, and was a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.